I hope you are well out there and staying safe. This week, I shouldn't say this week, it's been weeks since I did a video, but anyway, in this video, I'm going to be talking about three things. One of them is a technique that's new, or not a new one, but new to me at least, and it's to do with etching, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. In this case, we're etching with cream. So I've just bought a little bit of equipment to help me with that. So I'll show you that. The other one is 96 COE glass. So we'll have a little talk about that. And the final one is I got some photos from somebody to show you. So you know I've been asking for photos. Well, I've finally got some. So please, if you get to the end of the video and you like it, hit that like button for me. Share it around to anybody that might find it interesting. And there's that little thanks button down the bottom down there, and you can subscribe if you wish. Thank you to everyone that has already supported me with those little donations. Now the first thing I want to talk about is this Iconart stencil kit. By the way, I am not sponsored by this at all, so everything I tell you about this will be my own opinion. I've purchased this for basically etching onto glass with a chemical etch, not my sandblaster. And that's basically why I got this, because I want something a little bit more gentle. The sandblaster is good, but it is very aggressive on the glass. Which is great for some things, but not so much for more delicate items. So I've never really used chemical etch, and I don't really know what it's like or how it's going to go, but we're going to give it a go. Anyway, this is the kit. It makes all stencils for all sorts of things. Hopefully you can see all of that. Wide range of uses by the looks of it. Never done any of this, but everything from clothing to, gee, we've got pot plants here and so forth. So that's the box. This is part of a UV light stand, and it looks like that there. See if we can get that in the camera. So that's got to be put together. That's the base, the stand, and the UV light. Then comes a little timer that I bought because of the exposure of the UV light on this is very important. The time included in the pack is a squeegee, user manual, start guide, some laser print film, inkjet print film. That's something I bought extra, and the very important stencil film. And they've also provided an example of a stencil and a washout board where we put the stencils on and wash them out. Now, this might say, if you haven't seen anything about this, it's probably all a little bit vague for you. Go away, do some searches on YouTube, and you'll find some really good videos to do with the Iconart stencil kit and how to use it. So as I said, what I'm really interested in is seeing how the etching works. I have got some armor etch as well, which I haven't actually got here, which is the chemical that you use. So very basically, you print your design on a transparency, you expose it to the UV light, to the stencil film here, which hardens the areas that are exposed. The areas that aren't exposed are washed out, and you end up with the stencil. Beauty of this one is that there's a very fine mesh there. So when you got things like an O here or an E that have these little floating center points, on the stencils I do on the Cricut, you have to make sure that these get transferred with the transfer film onto the piece you're etching. And sometimes you'll lose them. And while this example here doesn't have really fine lines, this system, from what I understand, I can do really fine lines, which I can't do with my normal sandblaster. So that's the thing I really want to see how it works. I'm confident it's going to work well, otherwise I wouldn't have spent the money on this. But that's the primary reason why I want to do this, so that I can do things like mugs, etch them, and we have a couple of places here that want me to do a few for them. So that's the main reason why I've got this. Secondary reason is I will be using it on some fused glass projects, so it's something to look forward to. So the next thing I want to talk about is COE 96 glass. If you've watched my channel, you'll know that I use COE 90, which is bullseye, and I've never used COE 96. So this is going to be a little adventure for me, because I am going to try COE 96 glass, do some tests, and hopefully do a couple of projects. Now, because I haven't got any COE 96 glass until now, Helen Glogner, who is in Western Australia here, in Australia, she makes Australian-made Murini, has very kindly sent over some glass for me to try. Now, she sent me some black, some clear, this nice streaky blue, and a selection of her Murini, which I'll incorporate in the projects. I've also got a few scraps here that I can use just to do some tests with. As I said, I'm new to COE 90 glass, and this is the first time I've actually seen any of it up close. And it's quite surprising, actually. I've noticed that the glass is very smooth. Bullseye glass is quite textured on one side, and this is very smooth, almost like float glass, actually. So going to be interesting to see how this cuts and the final product, obviously. And this streaky surprised me a bit, and I'll show you why. By the way, you get a sample if you buy from Helen, so think about it if you're in Australia. What surprised me about this is that all the bullseye glass, and I'll try and show you actually before I show you that, is streaky glass is quite textured, and the pattern, turn this over, goes all the way through. So it's basically solid pattern all the way through. And all of the streaky that I've got is like that. So whether they make anything else, I'm not sure. Oops. No, that didn't break. With the this 96, and it's Oceanside, I believe. Anyway, it's white on the back. The pattern doesn't go all the way through, or maybe in this case it just didn't, but it looks like it's almost white on the back, and the pattern is only on one side. So the last thing I want to show you are those photos that I mentioned that I've been asking for. And hopefully this will inspire you to send me some photos of your work as well. Now, Judy McFadden has sent me 3 photos of work that was inspired by some of the projects that I've done here. So I'm very interested, or I was very interested, to receive them and love to show them to you. So I will put them up on the screen here somewhere. The first one is this piece that is like a seam piece done with Murini. I did something similar to this a while back with some of that Murini I made. It was a green piece from memory. So the first piece is this one with the orange and the yellow and some Murini in the middle. The second one is, I'm not quite sure what you call these. I call it a garlic bread tray. I'm sure there's a better name than that. And that's using just clear glass with the stacking method, where she stacked small pieces of black on top of white. And the third one is a little trinket dish I call them trinket dishes. You could call it a soap dish or a ring dish. And it's done using, I think, just a light purple transparent and the colour dilution or displacement, whichever way you want to put it, of little white cabochons that have been put on it and fused into them. So thank you again very much, Judy. I really appreciate that. And if anybody out there has some, please go to the website, go to the contact form, and you can send them to me there. And if you prefer, you can just send them directly to me in an email. Just Jeff, Jeff, not Geoff, just Jeff at rocketroseart.com.au. Right, so don't forget, any questions at all about any of this, put them in the comments section, and I'd love to try and answer them for you. And right now, probably a couple of suggested videos up there, our subscribe button right there, and I'll see you in the next video, so bye for now.